Taylor, what are your thoughts on what happened this weekend with JT and the switch back to Cardale?
Obviously he made a bad decision. I think there's no question about that. He shouldn't have done that. And he knows he made a mistake. One thing I would say is I'm happy that he's safe. He's healthy and that nobody got hurt. I think that's really important. And he took the responsibility. He called me Sunday because he just wanted to explain to me what happened himself. I thought that was a really mature move by him. And I think he's going to take it upon himself. He knows he made a mistake. He'll accept that. He'll do what needs to be done to get back. So we're just going to have to move on, and we're going to have to get Cardale in there and going to get him ready this week. And I even told JT, you help Cardale get ready. That's something you need to do for us, is help Cardale get ready.
You guys had such momentum going into the bye week, and how does that affect that, the momentum?
I think it does affect the momentum because, we were getting JT in there more and more, and we're kind of improving week to week. But at the same time, I don't think it was just JT getting in there that was affecting our momentum. I think everybody was playing better and better. And then we obviously all know that we have played really well with Cardale at times. So, we're confident. We're gonna go play a great Minnesota team who, their game this past week, they played really well. They got good players, and it was a tough game last year even for us. So, we're not gonna take them lightly. We're gonna prepare, maybe even a little harder. Losing one of our guys this week.
Coach Meyer mentioned that there was some discussion among the older players on the team about Barrett keeping his captaincy. Was that something you were part of?
Again, obviously he made a stupid mistake, no question about it. But I don't think that that's 100% reflective of the type of person and his true character. We all make mistakes, and I'm not perfect. His was just a big one, and what's going to happen with that is not for me to say. But like I said, I don't think that's reflective of his true character. Other guys on the team make mistakes, and they're punished accordingly. So, I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that.
Is how he handles this, Taylor, reflective of, going forward? How important is how he handles it? Like you mentioned him calling you. Does that earn back respect, still show the leadership even though, he made a mistake like that? How JT deals with this, how important is that, I guess?
Yeah, it's 100% important for him to handle it the proper way. He could just be pissed about it and say, oh, I got screwed, but he's accepting responsibility. He knows he did something wrong, and he's going to deal with the consequences from that. But I think for him to just step up and man-to-man, call one of his teammates, because I think that's big. Not a lot of guys would have done that. He took it upon himself to call, leaders of the team. I know he called Pat too, because I live with Pat, he could explain. He wanted to tell us from his mouth what happened, and like he said, when I spoke to him, he said, I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. He was more worried about us than himself, which, that's JT, selfless. And like I said, he'll learn from it and he'll grow from it, and I'm just glad that he's healthy and nobody got hurt.
Everybody keeps asking us what the reaction was. The word I keep using, for one of another one is stunned. To hear this kind of thing. What was your reaction when you first heard the news, Taylor? Were you?
I think that's a great word for it. We haven't really had a ton of issues on this team this year. And in the bye week, I thought we made it, clear that we shouldn't have any. And then for it to happen from a guy like him, I think that's a perfect word for it. But again, it just shows that none of us are perfect, and one lapse in judgment can really cost you.
This is just an hypothesis of mine. Do you think Cardale is better in a situation like this, where he's being asked to come off the bench, so to speak? The way he responded last year for you guys in December and January, is there something about him that you see that's special in that regard, for one of another, being a fireman?
That's a tough question to answer, and I think only only really Cardale would know that. I mean, obviously he stepped up for us huge last year, and I will always have 100% confidence in him because he is a great player.
Yeah.
He has a ton of ability, and we love him. But again, that's not really.
That's what I was gonna say. But what the difference in your confidence in him compared to this time a year ago? I mean, after he did what he did in December and January last year, is it night and day? Urban Meyer says it's like night and day almost.
Yeah. I mean,
obviously,
of course,
you
I
responded,
of course I have more confidence in him now because I saw what he did.
Yeah.
I saw what he did in a big time situation when we needed him. Like we couldn't have done that without him. We needed him, and he did step up. And of course, my confidence is going to be light years ahead of where it was, just because of my experiences with it. So, I am confident because I've seen what he's done, and I know what he can do, and I'm fine with that.
Urban said that, and Ed Warner said that Braxton's going to be the backup, and that when he was asked if Braxton can throw, he said he's done a lot of things that people outside haven't seen. How much confidence do you have in Braxton's ability to be a passing quarterback as well?
He's two-time Big Ten Player of the Year quarterback, so I think that's about all you need to say. Obviously, he spent a ton of his time at wide receiver, and he's done a really good job for us at that position. But the kid's a playmaker, and he'll do whatever the team wants him, not wants him, but needs him to do. So like I said, I'm completely fine with that. He's been a humble guy, switching positions, doing what we ask him to do. He's obviously not getting as many touches as he had at the quarterback position, but I think he's having a great year, and I think he's loving it, and he's out there blocking people, and I mean it's just awesome that he's selfless, and I'm fine with that.
And the throwing aspect of it, have you seen that in practice?
I'm fine. All I'll say is I'm fine with it. Yeah.
Did you get to watch Michigan, Minnesota, and just what do you expect of this team coming in here? Obviously, they lost their head coach, which was a major blow last week and stuff. What do you expect from Minnesota?
I mean, I think they were really fired up for that game. Losing their coach, and they just seemed like they were playing with a lot of passion, a lot of energy, and they were fired up for that game and ready for that game. And I'm sure it'll be the same for us. It's scheduled to be a night game, and they're coming off a tough loss, which at any either of those teams could have won that game. So I think they're confident in the fact that they are a good team, and like I said, they played us tough last year. So I don't think they're going to back down by any means. So it could be one of the toughest games thus far for us this year.
Taylor, how does this affect how you view JT going forward? How do you think it affects how the guys on the team view JT?
Like I said, I know that everybody's going to make mistakes, and I was pissed when I heard that he did that. But I've had so many repeated experiences of his high character and him doing the right thing and being a great person, being a great leader. You just got to get. I'm going to move on from it. I'm not okay with what he did, but I'm going to move on from it. I'm going to forgive him, and I think the way he's handled it so far and the way he handles it moving on will be really telling for some of the younger guys that don't maybe have as much experience with JT. But I think everybody's heard him as that voice in the locker room. I think guys still respect him. They understand that he made a mistake. But, me personally, I'm going to be able to forgive him and move on. But I think for some of the younger guys that haven't been around as much, the way he handles it, which I know he'll handle it great, will show them, the type of person he is.
He obviously called you and a couple other guys personally. Has he addressed the team?
Yes. He did that this morning.
Was he emotional during that? I mean, how would you describe the way that was received?
I mean, you could just tell that he was really bummed out, and he didn't have an answer for what happened because, again, stupid mistake, and he wasn't worried about himself. He's gonna be fine. He'll handle it fine. He's worried about what it does to everybody else. So he's while his act was selfish, right now he's taking a selfless approach to it. So I think that's important that he's, even though it is about him, he's not trying to make it about him, if that makes sense.
Taylor, you've been here for a while and stuff. He's missing this. He's suspended from this game. He's going to lose financial aid in the summer unless he earns it back. But then past that, is the bigger punishment being having your name dragged through the mud? From a public standpoint, it's national news, et cetera. How does that affect you players? I mean, are y'all aware of that?
Oh yeah, like I've already seen tons of terrible stuff. I just pretty much stayed off Twitter that whole day just because people were, they were saying things about him that just aren't necessary. They're not true. And to see one of your friends, one of your teammates that you've been through a lot with, just kind of thrown under the table, that does suck. And I'm sure that hurts him. I'm sure he's trying to avoid it all he can and just keep the people that he loves and cares about around him. And that does suck. I do hate to see that because, that's not who he is.
Yeah,
That's
but
just not who
how
he
does
is.
that affect though you guys understanding? That is part of the punishment if you
Yeah.
do screw up. That it's not like a regular OVI out there.
Yeah, I mean we're always under the spotlight no matter what we do. If we can't do anything without people knowing, and we do know that, and that's just going to be one of the consequences of it. Whether it's fair or not, people are going to say things about him. People are going to be rude, and that's just how it is with the position that we're in.
Taylor, I imagine the older guys, before you guys went on the bye week, addressed not getting into trouble. Was JT one of the ones who had addressed the team about avoiding trouble over the bye week?
I would not like to answer that question.
Okay.
Taylor, you had a former teammate in Jack York, also was his summer aide for an incident when he was in the team.
Yeah.
Could you speak to what that situation was like? How does it affect him as part of the team? I mean, what is it like compared to a regular student athlete in the summer?
So I think the big thing for him was, he had to earn everything back. While the same thing with JT, he's going to have to earn things back. And I did see that with Jack. They didn't get a workout with the team and stuff like that, and they were punished for what they did. No matter how minor or major it is, you have to be punished for it. There are consequences for decisions that you make. And he did earn that back, and I think the fact that he didn't complain and he just went about it and accepted his punishment, I think that was telling of the type of person Jack was as well, because we all know that he was a leader on our team, and especially for me, he was huge for me in my development as a player. So the same thing with him. I knew that wasn't Jack, and I know this isn't JT, but we're imperfect. Everybody's imperfect. Everybody makes mistakes.